Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Hippie Fari Reggae Radio and Podcast. I'm your host, Scotty, the high-strung hippie. I've had the name for a long time. My friends gave it to me in high school. So
it's very fitting.
That's very.
Hence the name of the podcast, Hippie Fari. It kind of combines the two things that I am and that I love, which is reggae music and being a tree hugging hippie. So it's an absolutely beautiful thing.
Awesome.
We have a very, very, very special episode for you folks today, and I love this guest for many reasons. One of the main reasons is this entity. It's not a nonprofit. It's not a corporation. Entity or project, pretty much. It's definitely revolutionary in spirit because what they're doing is changing the game. There's really no money involved. Everybody running it has an equal say of what goes on, and they're doing it out of love to be able to support people. And there's really no other reason for what they're doing, just out of straight love for the reggae community. So I have in the studio with me Heather McQuaig, Bobby McQuaig, and on the phone all the way from ice cold Minnesota, I have Annie Gordon. Say hello, Annie.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How about you?
Absolutely fantastic. I'd like to thank all you folks for coming out, or actually me coming out. I hopped in the car and drove all the way to Palm Coast, Florida to bring Omen Honey Studios all the way to Heather and Bobby's house.
Yeah,
So,
thank you for being here.
Yes, it's absolutely fantastic. It turned the kitchen into a studio. I absolutely love it. So I've got, like I said, Heather, Bobby, and Annie. There's also some other people that are a part of the Little Birds Bandcamp that aren't able to join us on the podcast. So Heather, could you go ahead and just tell us, kind of introduce them, and tell us a little bit about what they do as if they were here?
Sure, absolutely. Our third bird is Shannon Davidson.
Shout out, what's up, Shannon?
Yeah, she's out of just a little bit south of Daytona. And she was one of the inspirations behind this. She really helped put this together, just, through connections, through people, through the music, and just through a mutual interest in helping out the community.
Beautiful.
Yep. So kind of behind the scenes from the beginning, we also have Matt Sands.
Okay.
He's kind of a wanderer, travels around, but he's really our West Coast connection.
Okay.
Stays a little bit more behind the scenes, but he's always there to consult with.
Like a silent partner.
He is, yeah. He's super tech savvy, and very wise and very well connected in the scene. So he's somebody who's always there if we need him. We also have Jordan Weekly out of Virginia Beach. So he's more of a silent partner.
Okay.
Jordan's just mostly there. If I need him for something, if I hit him up, he's right there, to give me some guidance or give me some help with whatever I might need. And then, we've just recently brought on, Matt and Jesse Duran,
Okay.
out of, oh my gosh, Arizona. I'm sorry.
right.
I was like, they're out of, the Phoenix, Arizona area.
Okay.
So Matt and Jesse are kind of the West Coast counterpart of
Right.
Bobby and I. Very involved in the scene, very committed, and just out there to support the band, support the music, and now support this mission as well. So we're super thankful and lucky to have them and everybody on board.
Welcome aboard.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's an absolutely beautiful thing. Talking about supporting the bands and supporting the mission. Reggae music initially was started for a revolution to bring people together, to build up communities that were oppressed. And it's still very community oriented music. I love the genre.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
If anybody needs anything, if you're playing a show and the percussionist who's coming after you, his drum head broke, you let him use your drums, or it's
Right.
definitely that kind of community.
Absolutely.
I love it so much. So
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Once again, folks, thank you for being on the show. We definitely appreciate it. Now, it could be the Wild West when I ask questions and everybody just kind of jump at the mic, but I'll go ahead and start. Heather, Bobby, or Annie, or all three of you, can you just definitely tell us a little bit about, or actually a lot about, Little Birds Bandcamp? What inspired the idea, first of all, and how did it go from an idea to actually being a working mechanism with moving parts?
Right. So it really started, I mean, of course, with our love for the music. Bobby and I threw together some ideas out on our lanai after hosting a couple bands we started this about 8 months ago. So probably about a year and a half before that. Shannon was also involved with hosting bands. And it just seemed like we were always trying to communicate and reach out to people and try to figure out what we could do, but we just weren't well connected enough
Right.
throughout, the country to be able to really pull that off. Like we had some connections here and there. And it wasn't really something that we like sat down and put a lot of thought into at that point. So Bobby and I threw around the idea of putting together a group, a community of people who would have, a mutual interest in helping these bands, get lodging while on the road. So he and I spoke about it. I mean, probably for over the period of a couple months.
Okay.
And then thought about, who could we bring in that would really, join this mission and be a part of it and feel as strongly about it as we do, which is where, we brought in Annie and Shannon and, talked to them, talked to Matt, just got feelers, and feedback from them before we did anything. And it was funny as we were still kind of throwing everything together. And I guess Shannon was done waiting. So she boom, hit that go button, and all of a sudden we were live on social media.
That's awesome, man.
Which was great. So yeah, I love her passion. So that's basically the foundation.
Sure. Okay. Fantastic. It's an absolutely beautiful concept. I love it. And unless you're a millionaire musician, you need this.
Oh, absolutely.
It definitely definitely helps out 100%. So,
and that's, if I can interrupt real quick.
Yeah,
that was part of the inspiration as well, was keeping, ZC Keeley was one of the first bands that we kept with us, and kind of understanding what they went through and what they had to do.
Shout out Zach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having him on the show next week.
Yeah, I'm excited.
We picked Zach's brain a lot.
Yeah. So, Zach was really helpful in kind of showing us the ropes and teaching us what these musicians really go through and how little they do get paid, if they even get paid, because there's times that sometimes musicians just don't ever see that paycheck.
Right. 100%.
And
especially if you're from out of state and there's a promoter here and you leave and they haven't paid you yet, it's
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So, and he did a lot of free shows while he was here just to promote his music. So between the self-promotion and the travel expenses and the instruments, and then having to pay your band, it just becomes a real financial burden on these musicians. So,
and 100%, you could do the math real quick. Even if two band members share a hotel room in the cheapest, crappiest hotel, it's going to be $100 a night.
Oh, easily.
You know what I mean?
Easy.
So you're looking at least $200 a night. That's one night. You're going on a tour. You're looking at thousands of dollars.
Thousands.
Yes. So the mission behind Three Little Birds, how exactly does it support the touring reggae musicians? Kind of walk us through exactly what it does.
Bobby?
I'll take that one. What it's done is there's been a vetted host process that's been on with anybody that we've onboarded around the country. Off the top of my head, I don't even know the numbers right now. We've got somewhere around 650 members in the past 8 months.
Beautiful.
And the amount of hosts that's actually approved, I believe we're somewhere around 60. I know Annie can chime in on that. She's more on top of the numbers.
60 right now.
60 hosts. Yeah, I'm one of them. Yeah.
Yep. So we've got 60.
And real quick, folks, I live in an RV. I have a pull-out futon in my RV. So if it's a duo traveling through, or a solo person, or they just want to save a little bit of money, two people can stay in my place, but anybody can do it.
It doesn't matter how small or how big your accommodations for your house or your condo or your RV or whatever it may be.
Yep.
The ones that's been, vetted and brought on board, they've said, hey, we can take one person, we can take 4 people,
sure,
we can take 10. We actually had 14 here at our house last year for Spring Break
awesome.
Reggae Fest
at
Jerry's
great.
Tiki Bar.
Yeah.
So, we had the pleasure of ZC Keeley was here for the second time. We got down there. Aaron Wolf and his crew didn't have anywhere to stay. We opened up the house for them, brought them in. The Irie out of Arizona,
Very
they
nice.
were down there as well. Wanted a place to stay, so we're like, hey, we got it. We put people on air mattresses, couches. We had them sleeping on the lanai. The weather was nice.
Oh yeah,
we're screened in.
I love your lanai. It's so good. Actually, a seed from a tree. We actually so this house is the freaking reggae hub. It's like a temple for reggae. You've got all those people staying there. You've recorded the music. You're doing the podcast. I mean, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's like a venue almost.
Just to be able to give back to these guys that they're bringing this music, their heart, their soul,
sure.
and everything they do, and sharing it with us. We're able to give back to them in the process.
100%.
Beautiful. So why?
Yeah.
I know why I would, but why did you choose reggae as a focus? Is it just because it's your favorite kind of music, or the community aspect of it? And after you answer that, continue and just let me know, are there any plans to expand to other genres other than reggae music? Or
I mean, I'll let Annie, if you want to chime in on that, I can answer it, but I'll give you some time to talk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know our main focus has been reggae bands, and we do help other, bands and musicians as well. Yeah. But I think, our main focus has been reggae bands.
Is there any specific reason why? I mean, that's because that's the kind of music you listen to, and well, I can be quite honest with you. I certainly wouldn't want death metal to be my focus when doing a band camp, because I don't want a bunch of crazy metalheads trashing my house.
I think with the reggae music, the music is something that touches all of our hearts and souls,
100%.
each of us, in probably an individual way. But it's a community, and that's one of the things we've learned is, everybody comes together when they need to come together, whether it's for a fundraiser because somebody got injured or somebody needs housing, or, I think Bobby was saying earlier, if somebody needs an instrument. I mean, it's just a really great community, where we feel, to give back to this community. That's the greatest thing. I mean, I grew up with classic rock. We didn't have connections like this.
Absolutely not.
We didn't know people. We didn't.
Right.
You didn't really go backstage. You didn't, get VIP private shows. And it's just, and it's establishing, friendships too. The majority of the people that have stayed with us, personally, we've established longtime friendships. I was talking to Zan Smith of the Goodies last night on the phone, and she had said, she's so thankful for, all the hosts and all the lodging that people offer them while they're on tour. And she said, every house they leave, friends and new friends.
That's beautiful. 100%.
Yeah. So it's just the way everybody kind of clicks and connects. It's family.
Amen.
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah, when we say fam all the time, it's actually, we mean it.
We mean it.
We mean it.
So, anyone of you, Heather, Bobby, Annie, pretend I've never heard of it before, but it sounds good. I'm listening to the podcast right now. I've never heard of it before. And I'm a band, and I want to sign up to be a part of the program. Can you walk me through step by step exactly how to do that?
I think that one's probably for Annie, because she's really in the background and does, so fabulous at just kind of running things behind the scenes.
Nice. And you could go ahead and do part 2 of that question. The same thing for a house host. I've done it, but I want people listening to know kind of how to do it as well.
Yeah. So we have a application process. So if a host wants to join and host bands, I can't talk today,
right,
then they can fill out an application, which we have that in our group only right now. I do have it pinned to our featured section, so if someone new comes to our group and they're interested, they can find it that way, or they can usually reach out. So sometimes we'll send it in a message.
On the Facebook page, it's pinned, correct?
Yep.
Facebook page.
Yeah. So we'll just fill that out. They give us some information. So usually we ask for, kind of some basic info like the preferred contact methods and things like that, references.
And folks, zero money. You pay nothing, pays anything. You don't have to pay anything to be a part of it. There's no membership fee or anything like that.
Yes.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's kind of I go through those applications. I try to do it every other week or so. It just kind of depends on how many applications come in, and and then I will usually put out a shout out post in our group to all of our new hosts and where they're located.
Right. Okay.
And then I also will message them before I do that and let them know that they've been approved. And then for bands, if they want to be part of it, it's a little simpler for them. They can just join our group and they can come on one of their personal profiles, or we have it set up so their page can join us as well. And they don't have to fill out an application or anything. They can just post saying they need hosts for certain dates, and then we'll help them find hosts by tagging people in those areas in their comments. And then if they don't want to be the one to post, then they can also ask one of us and we can post on their behalf. But I think typically they've been, most of our bands have been just posting themselves, or have like someone managing their chores aspect of it, posting for them.
That's awesome. So, sounds pretty easy. I did it. It's very easy. Just go to Three Little Birds Bandcamp on Facebook and look at the pinned post and sign up.
Yeah.
I Instagram.
Yeah, now Instagram too. And I think to add a little bit to what Annie was saying, I mean, with the applications, we prefer that people have like 2 references. So
yes, absolutely.
We just kind of know that you're known, at least by somebody, in the genre, or you've done this, or a band can, say, hey, yeah,
if you're a band that's going to be touring, somebody's going to know you.
Right. But I'm talking about like a host.
Oh, no, sure. Oh, the host as well. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. No, so the bands, we know, and they don't have to bring references with them, because of course, everybody knows them, or somebody's had them with them at some point or another. But another big purpose of the application process is so we know before we start trying to put people together.
That was a disclaimer. Sorry. We're watching the video. So.
But before we start putting people together, we want to know how many people you can accommodate, and what is the nature of the accommodations. Sure. I mean, can you only do air mattresses? Do you have a private bedroom? Right. We also, and like with the bands too, I mean, that's why part of their application process, like we want to know any kind of, allergies, dietary, or if they have any kind of dietary restrictions. We
can kind of keep going. What I was going to ask you next was, do you house hosts need to provide anything other than a place to sleep? Or is it, I mean, obviously you want them to have be it food, maybe beverages, but
right.
Say for example, somebody's on is it just as long as they can just offer a place to sleep, or
I mean, I think most bands would say, yeah, just give us a place to sleep.
Yeah, they can, yeah.
Okay.
I can get a Taco Bell or Wawa and get,
And I think it's just up to the individual. I mean, Bobby and I are very focused on, if there's any dietary needs.
Sure.
We have a dog. Is there any allergies? We want to let people know that up front.
You guys are focused on that with me when we came over.
Right.
Tonight, you're like, I know you guys are vegetarian, so we're gonna take care of you. So yeah,
right.
Sure
so
hopefully all house hosts are like you guys.
Yeah, I mean, and I think a lot of them, I mean, we're 420.
I think so too.
Friendly.
Sure.
And so many of them are, but these are just some of the things we want to know up front, because we don't. You have bands that are big partiers.
Sure.
You have bands that just kind of want to chill and be, I don't want to say left alone, but just kind of relax or go to bed, get some rest. So we just need to kind of know to make sure that we're, I mean, I guess kind of matchmakers in a sense, and that we're putting people together that are going to be compatible.
Fantastic. So, how do you ensure safety and compatibility between the hosts and musicians? I mean, I know you can't guarantee anything, but so the vetting process, the references, is that kind of what takes care of that?
I think so. But I think too, if there's an issue, I feel like the majority of our hosts and also a lot of the bands that we're connected with, they're going to let us know. They're going to let somebody know if there's an issue. And as soon as there's an issue, just depending on the issue, which we haven't had yet so far, thankfully, and I don't foresee that. But I don't know if Annie can or Bobby can add to that. Either one of them a little bit, but
my thing is go ahead, Annie.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that we encourage, like with the social media platforms, that we encourage the bands and the hosts, post your pictures, post your videos, give a shout out. Hey, we stayed with John Smith the other night. Fantastic digs. It was nice, feeling laid back.
Do they actually communicate before the stay too?
Yes.
You encourage that, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead and call them. Yes. Get to know them. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we try, but sometimes, it's on us to facilitate all the communication. Recently, the bands have been really, really good about it, where we've just been, tagging potential hosts, and the hosts have reached out to the bands, and the bands have responded.
Beautiful.
Which is nice because it takes a lot off of us, because I used to.
You can't be a liaison.
Handle a lot of it. Yeah.
You just can't. We're dealing with five bands right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting places.
That's a lot. So speaking of that, what type of accommodations work best? Do hosts need extra rooms or, well, I don't have one, so I assume couches and shared space is fine.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've literally, we only at this time, have one extra bedroom. We've got 3 bathrooms in the house, but we have a sectional in our living room where we can usually put 2. We have 3 air mattresses in a couple different rooms. Those air mattresses can go in. We have our lanai that has a sectional. We've had people blow up air mattresses on the lanai. We've literally had Justin Love with Seed from the Tree.
Shout out.
He's been Justin. He's been blessed enough to stay in our walk-in closet, which is heated and aired and private from the rest of the room.
That's awesome.
With access to a bathroom, and so he was perfectly content staying there. So
that's kind of what I live in. So
yeah, the bands don't complain too much.
So how long do the musicians usually stay with the host? This is an average. Well, obviously, I could probably answer that question. It depends on how long they're in town.
Right.
Yeah. I think most cases it's one night. Sure. Depending on their, their schedule and where they're going to be.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So Beach Fly this weekend is going to be out in the Panhandle area. So one of our members, Mark, who's in Pensacola, is going to be taking them in for the weekend, and just show them around and tell them share some cool spots with them to stay. I know Shannon, our other bird, has kept people for a couple days. Personally, Bobby and I kept ZZ Keeley for 10 days the second time. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a full house, but that said, and I'll just bring up Zach again, is they really gave back. Sure. Nobody gets paid from any of this. There's no profits. There's no anything. It's out of the kindness of our hearts. And so Zach made it a point. He's a fabulous cook.
Mind-blowing stir fry.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yeah, so they would, get up in the morning and make breakfast, or, they made dinner a couple nights, and we kind of just switched off at dinners. A lot of the bands, I can't speak for them all. While Bobby and I have no expectation of it, some of the bands will put you on guest lists.
Great.
And even so, if we are on their guest list, then we make sure to just buy plenty of merch, because we know that's what supports them.
I was just going to say I'm a merch guy. Yeah, that is where they make their money. Definitely on the merch. That's why hoodies are $60, but I gladly pay it.
Yeah,
because I know that's how they make their money. And it's nice to get the tour merch,
right?
Even if it doesn't look any different, it's still I got it at the show.
Right, absolutely.
Or from the band directly. So can hosts specify preferences, like only accommodating certain band sizes or just specific nights?
I think I can take that one. Yeah, so when they fill out the application, we do ask them about how many people they can, host, or what kind of space they have. So that's usually where that comes into play.
Okay.
I think, and maybe Heather and Bobby can add to that, but I think most people have been able to accommodate the sizes of groups that are coming through.
Perfect.
I agree.
Yes.
So how do you handle, is it between, say, for example, once the band signs up and they've been in contact with the host, do you guys step back and everything that goes on? Or say if I was in a band and I had to cancel, or if I was a host and I had to cancel. ZC Keeley's coming in town tomorrow and something happened, I got to go out of town, sorry. Do I call the band or do I call you?
Most of the time they reach out to us. Like I said, the relationships between our hosts and bands are starting to grow right now. So I feel like if something came up, they might just reach directly out to that person. One thing I try to do, I did a little bit of it today, was knowing, Beachfly had some places this weekend, was I reached out to the host and just made sure that contact had been made and everything had been confirmed and everything was good.
Perfect.
And I got, immediate responses that everything was fine. We've had one situation where somebody backed out last minute.
Right. It's going to happen.
And we can do to reach out to all the contacts we know and do what we can to just get them placed someplace else. But,
right.
And
you really hope that doesn't happen because say, for example, you're in a city and there's something going on, like you're in Daytona and the Daytona 500 is going on. Every hotel from here to Orlando is completely booked.
Yep.
So that would definitely put the band in kind of a screwed up situation. So if you're a host, do everything in your power to don't cancel on the band, please.
Yeah.
And things happen.
Yeah, sure, it does.
Press on. You move forward and just
100%.
You deal with it.
Absolutely. So how would you guys say so far, just in the amount of time that you've been operational? You don't have to put. I'm not asking you how much money do you think that you've saved bands, but what's the impact so far? Like, what's the buzz? Is it starting to? Are people starting to talk about it and they know that it's something that's available and people are getting excited and it's going to start, it's just going to grow like wildfire?
Annie?
It does seem that way.
Right.
So we get a lot of compliments on the work that we're doing, especially from the bands and the musicians that we help.
Right.
Sometimes they comment on our posts or they message us directly and say how grateful they are for what we're doing. And I think that's just, that's a huge thing. That's why we're doing this. We want to help. So
sure, 100%.
It's traction for sure with it getting out there, and the more bands stay, and the more comments from bands, and the more hosts that's sharing the information on the social media platforms. It's really starting to get some traction, and people are starting to hear about it. And over the last couple of weeks, our membership and host membership has gone up significantly.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you got to. You need to watch out because that's exactly what happens. You have a great idea that a couple people know about. Then you wake up the next morning and you have 300 new members. You're like, wow. So this is not a question I planned on asking, but how do you balance? Say you had 500 bands sign up tomorrow, but only one host. What would you? I mean, do you get somebody on the horn that's out there? All right, we need to get new hosts to sign up. We need to have a social media blitz. We got to get these people to sign up.
100. Oh, go ahead, Annie.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, we do try to share in groups a lot on our personal pages.
Sure.
And we have other people that are doing the same thing to kind of get the word out. So I feel like that, helps our case and helps us find new hosts. I know I'm desperately trying to find more in, the whole Midwest area here, because this is an area that the scene is a lot smaller. So,
we should get the bands that actively release music like ZC Keeley to write a song about Little Birds Bandcamp, and everybody that hears the song will know about it.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we do the unofficial recording from Marcus with the Irie.
Nice. I'm sure.
He wrote a nice little off-the-cuff song.
Pretty funny.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I can imagine.
I love it.
He's great.
Awesome.
He's great. Those are great guys. I think, for me, when I sit back and watch, and Annie's really great. Like she's just my biggest, I don't want to say partner, but like somebody who's in this, and not, I mean, and Bobby as well, of course, because he's with me, but you know, she's been there a lot for me, but it I get overwhelmed sometimes.
Of course.
And I do worry about like what you said, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what do we do, you know, and how many people do we have that are going to become like admins of this or part of this group? And it just, it's, you know, I want it to grow. That's ultimately what I want. And you know, I wish Matt were here because he could probably you know, touch on this a little bit. But yeah, it's I mean,
can I ask everybody a question real quick?
Yeah.
It just sounded like a marble dropping. Am I the only one hearing this?
I think my watch hit the table.
Yep.
Maybe that was it. All right. All right. Well, fantastic. So how would you say that the program fosters a relationship between the community at large and reggae musicians?
The reggae community at large, or like just the community period?
Well, the community period, because I'm sure there's a ton of people that aren't in the reggae community that don't know about this that would still sign up to be hosts.
It's a good possibility on that. I talk to people. We have our own construction business, a handyman home repair maintenance service, and a lot of times, you know, music comes up, and my customers hear me listening to reggae while I'm working,
right? And
they'll start talking about it, and then, you know, one thing leads to another, and we start talking about Three Little Birds Bandcamp, and they think it's one of the coolest things they've ever heard.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's you know, pretty neat that you've got bands staying at your house.
Yep.
And they're like, that's just so much to be able to give back. You know, you explain the mission to them.
Yep.
And, you know, they like the idea. I think if we were to kind of push that a little bit further, that we could probably get people that may not even be in the genre, you know, that actually says, yeah, you know, I do some hosting. I wouldn't mind that at all.
Right.
So
or even just something to look bring at some people into the genre just to introduce them to the music. I mean, if nothing else, you know, just spread that vibe.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And something that I thought about, I know there's zero exchange of money whatsoever, but well, and you're not making any money. So I mean, everything's coming out of your own pocket. But say, for example, I'm like, I can't host, but I can donate $1,000 to you. Then you can build your website or whatever. Is there an opportunity, or is there a place for people to be able to donate monetarily to be able to push the mission forward? Like, so you guys could expand the way that you, because if you get 500 bands that sign up tomorrow.
Right. For me, that's a no. I mean, Bobby and Annie might want to expand on that, but for me, it's, you know, somebody donates $1,000, you know, what do we do with it? How do we, you know, show where that's gone and what it's done? I think it's hard to keep track of stuff like that. And I think when money gets involved, people start having a little bit more, have more questions and wanting to know, you know, what's going on with it. I will say we've had several band members who are either tech savvy or print t-shirts or do different things who have offered to, you know, assist with building websites for us, or assist with, you know, Matt, who's of course part of our part of the Bandcamp.
Okay.
You know, he can build apps, which of course that costs money. So we haven't quite figured that out yet, but to me personally, we're at a point where, I don't think I wouldn't want to take money. That's not what this is about whatsoever. And I think there's enough people in this family and volunteers, who would offer services and do things to keep the mission going and growing.
Fantastic.
I think if you get into something like that, when you do start taking in money, you know, even though you do, you know, with what we do, it is at a loss, you know, at this point.
Right.
But if you start taking money, then you all of a sudden now you're a business. So you've got to figure out taxes, and you know, the government's going to see or want to see where all that's going. And even if you are taking a loss financially, they don't care. They're still going to want you to file some sort of paperwork and do. So it's just, I think at this point in time, it's really just muddying the waters.
Sure.
And it's something that a bridge we don't need to cross yet.
Fantastic. All right, cool. Yeah, actually, I was curious because I'm sure there's people out there who, you know, would take that option. I'll donate instead of the space, but yeah.
If they want to donate, they can donate their time to share and help us spread the word.
Sure.
That's more important, you know?
And the bands themselves, a lot of times they'll put out a QR code. They've got Cash App, they've got Zelle or whatever. You know, shoot somebody. You know, if you're going to donate or want to make a difference on that financially, just go to your favorite band and find out. You know, pay for a hotel room for them, like a lot of them do. Get them a tank of gas. You know, anything of that nature. You know, we've done that prior to even starting the band camp. You know, there's been times where I've Cash Apped somebody, you know, $25 for gas or whatever it may have been, just to help them while they're out on the road.
Sure. Fantastic. That's a beautiful thing. That's when it comes back to community. Now, I know we talked about the network earlier. Annie, can you just refresh me real quick? How many hosts, how many bands?
Okay. I don't have an exact number of bands, but I know we just got our 60th host.
Okay.
And I do have more applications to go through since I updated that. I think it was last week or the week before. So probably looking at closer to 70 once we get all of our new host applications done.
Okay, fantastic. And obviously your hosts are all over, nationwide.
Yeah. Yep. All over the country.
Are you looking to expand? Are there any specific cities, or do you have any areas like on your radar that you want to expand to? For example, cities with like huge, massive reggae scenes that a lot of bands tour through.
I think we've got hosts in several of those cities already. Right now, our focus is on our weak spots.
Yes.
Midwest and especially like central United States, very, very weak on hosts.
Okay.
Utah, weak on hosts, and even the Southeast, believe it or not. I mean, Florida's excellent. South Carolina, pretty good. Virginia is awesome. But Southeast, so Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, that area, we have nothing. For bands going through there. And there's nothing worse than having to tell one of these bands, sorry, we can't do anything for you.
So would you say that is a challenge in growing the initiative? I have a nonprofit that we started, and we have initiatives that we are going to launch. But if people don't know about them, they're not going to know. I can donate to this. I can help out in this way. So is that probably the biggest challenge that you face in growing the initiative, getting the word out? Yeah, because if everybody in the United States knew about it, you'd have probably 20% of the population would, you know what I'm saying? But everybody's got to hear about it.
And that stuff, this, the podcast, you get the word out. Annie actually had a bunch of slaps made a while back and sent to us. So, the goal there is to get more of those made. And that way, when you go to shows and you start slapping stickers on bathroom stalls and everything else, when these bands come in here, they might have heard about it. It might be in the back of their mind somewhere. And all of a sudden they go, oh, that's right. There's 3 Little Birds. We can hit them up. We might be able to get some lodging. And they may have heard of us, but it just slips their mind a little bit. They stay busy with everything going on with the tour. The managers are super busy and all that. But just those little visual reminders, the social media platforms, now with Annie starting the Instagram page, I don't do Instagram. I want nothing to do with it.
Right.
Facebook is enough for me. So to have that on board and Annie and taking care of that part of it, that's fabulous.
Awesome. Absolutely. Yeah, I feel you 100%. My wife takes care of the I do a lot of the social media, but as far as building the websites and doing it, she has the patience for it. I don't. Mm-hmm. So
it can be a beast at times.
Oh, certainly, especially when you're trying to do other things.
Yeah.
Do you guys specifically partner with any venues or promoters or other organizations to help spread the word? Like, for example, a promoter maybe who's selling tickets to a show. When he sends out the thank you email for buying the ticket, he could also put the information through Little Birds Bandcamp. Now, everybody who's bought a ticket knows who you are. So
that would be definitely something to explore in the near future.
Right.
I mean, we've got a huge one here in Florida, is Duderman.
Yes, 100%.
Something like that would be a absolute awesome ad, some way, shape, or form. It would just be a matter of sitting down and talking with him about it and seeing, get his input and what he thinks about the whole process.
Even like Lance O.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, actually,
Culture shock.
I'm having him on the podcast in March. Yep. After Jerry's Tiki Bar.
Awesome.
So yeah, he's actually coming over at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning to do it. Yep. He's like, I get up early. I was like, so do I. What time? He's like 6 a.m. I was like 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Kira was like, all right, I'll have coffee ready. And I was like, oh, that's okay. So you do have that is kind of in the wheelhouse, possibly partnering with people to spread the word.
I don't know. I mean, I think Annie could probably maybe add something to that.
I know here, here in Minnesota, we have several hosts.
Sure.
That's just finding venues.
Yeah.
And Mark and I, my husband, we're in St. Cloud. So we're, about an hour or so north of the Twin Cities where most of the shows are. So, we're trying to figure out what we have in this area. How can we help bands come up here and play and have a place to stay? Talking to people in the community that are also passionate about music, and using each other as a resource.
How big is the reggae scene in Minnesota where you're at? Is it thriving?
It's not. It's growing, but it's not. Definitely not like Florida.
Well, some of those awesome bands have come out of places that you wouldn't expect, like the Elevators. From up north, Sundub coming from Brooklyn, New York. So you never know. I was curious about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do have some amazing local bands up here too, and I know Roots Within, we were able to help them with I think a couple dates last year too. So that was kind of fun because they're we've seen them live. They're from here in Minnesota, so it's kind of fun being able to get the word out and talk to people here at shows. That's just kind of how you do it, right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I'm an old school rave promoter. So we would stand outside of the nightclub that was letting out and hand flyers for the next show. So people knew. So you're hitting every raver that's walking out of the club with a flyer for the next event. So every single person that was there, they're going to like what you're doing because they're already
there.
They're already there. Yeah. So definitely 100%. That's how you do it.
I think there's some avenues for that type of marketing to open up for sure as we grow. A month ago, I would have said, you definitely want to do something like that, but maybe, a little bit more of the distant future.
Right.
What's going on in the last several weeks and the way it kind of just has really blowed up and kind of caught fire on us is maybe a little bit more, imminent for doing that.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. So what advice would you give someone considering becoming a host for the first time? They've never done it before, or like me, for example. What should I expect? Obviously, I mean, shows get out late.
Yeah.
So
expect some pretty late arrivals, and communication's not always the best. So on our way, a text that says we're on our way at 11:30 might mean they'll show up at 2:30, 3:30. You just don't know. It's I mean, and the expectation I think too is, it just depends. Like we kind of know a lot of these bands. So, like this person might be like, these people might be partiers or these people might be more laid back. And so we could kind of provide insight to people who are hosting for the first time for specific bands. Just be prepared. If you want to offer them food and drinks, be prepared. Bobby and I keep fresh towels on hand.
Yes, absolutely.
We keep a drawer full of toiletries, shampoos, loofahs, toothbrushes, toothpaste. I mean, anything that's people forget stuff.
Yeah.
So
is there anything that you ask the bands to bring with them? Obviously their own toothbrush, but
most of them usually pretty well covered. It kind of surprises me. A lot of them that when we'll mention that we've got air mattresses, they're like, we've got our own.
So they're usually so prepared.
So they're pretty well. But every once in a while, somebody be like, damn, I forgot my deodorant.
Yeah.
So, we'll keep like travel size deodorants or anything of that nature that we can give to them while they're there. Keep saving them a trip to the grocery store.
Fantastic. And so I'll reverse that on a band. What would you tell me if this is my first time staying with a host? Just to be a good guest. Is there anything you tell them specifically?
No.
So remember to be respectful.
Don't use all the hot water.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they pretty much already know the things their moms taught them. And they've done this enough that, you know, they just know.
Yeah,
I mean,
we've hosted what, 15, 18 different bands or so over the last year and a half. We've never had a negative experience. Everybody's always polite, kind, clean, gracious, grateful.
Beautiful.
I mean, it's just an amazing, any band that we've ever hosted is 100% welcome back here.
I think their manners are already pretty much in place.
It's a good bunch of people in this genre.
Yes, that's an absolutely beautiful thing, and that is true. Which, when I asked you if you were planning on expanding to other genres, I already knew the answer. You kind of already know what you're going to get with this community and this family, which that definitely alleviates the stress and it definitely kind of takes the stress off.
Well, if one of the grunge bands hits us up, it's we're definitely going to make sure they're coming by here.
Cannibal Corpse stay the weekend.
If Five Finger Death Punch hits us up, right. They're more than welcome.
Yeah,
sure.
We'll take them in.
So I know we kind of touched on this before, and you definitely said no cash. So just spreading the word is basically how the people listening right now can help support the mission.
Absolutely.
So by spreading the word, they would pretty much tell people what they know. The Three Little Birds Bandcamp. Check them out on Facebook. Check them out on Instagram. It's a place that hosts touring reggae bands where they set up hosts in the bands where they can communicate. So the bands have a place to stay instead of spending outrageous amounts of money on hotels. So you have an email. If anybody listening has any questions and they kind of want to shoot them to you or didn't send a Facebook message, is there an email they can send you where they can get information or an email you have so they can send you an email and get info?
Yes, we have just set up an email. It's 3 Little Birds Bandcamp at outlook.com.
Fantastic. So if anybody has any questions, they're listening and they want to know anything, and that goes straight to you, Annie?
Right now, yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yep.
Fantastic. All right. So if you want to talk to Annie, you got her email address. Awesome. Is there in I hate to do it. I love you people. In kind of closing, I think we've covered pretty much the gist of it. And that's what I wanted, was somebody to be able to listen to this podcast, know how to sign up, know exactly what it's all about, and be able to take that information and share it with the community at large. Is there anything else that you want to throw out there?
We're pretty much always available. So if you've got questions about it, maybe a potential host or even bands, message us, hit us on Facebook Messenger, give us, hit us on Facebook, proper, DM me, I've got some questions. We welcome it. If we can bring on somebody else or help somebody else, we're more than, willing to take care of that. If, we're always up late. I mean, we can do late phone calls. We had one last night. It's never anything out of the ordinary to be on the phone talking with, a band or a manager or anything at 11 o'clock at night.
Sure.
Of just kind of getting stuff set up and making sure that things are going to go smooth whenever we're getting hosting taken care of. So we're always open.
Fantastic. That's great. You're like Waffle House, man.
Right.
Always open and you got good food. And
I think, just for me, and to summarize is, it's a mutual mission. We're here to help everybody. We've had some amazing bands pass through, and we feel blessed to have been able to help them and support what they're doing. And I think that goes for everybody involved in this. And
sure.
So it's just an awesome thing, and just I just only ask people to spread the word and get it out there, and let's help these guys. The amount of money that it costs to stay in hotels, and especially if you're traveling with 7 band members.
Oh yeah, insane.
We've prevented bands from sleeping in the back of their cars or vans at night. It's just it's difficult for us to look from the outside and see what really goes on with these musicians, and it's a lot. And they dedicate everything they have to bring the music that they create into our lives. And
and music is extremely important. It's a massive part of everybody's life. It kind of defines who you are. You hang out with the people who listen to the same kind of music as you do. So just think about that, how music impacts your life and what you can do to turn around and give back to the community that literally does this because they love it and they want to share their art with the world. Thank you guys so much. I swear it sounds like somebody's opening and closing a cassette tape. I don't know. I keep hearing it in my head.
I'm picking it up once in a while. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So, and I am going to do my part to spread the word. I'm going to plug Three Little Birds Bandcamp on every single Hippie Fari Reggae Radio and podcast.
Awesome. We appreciate you so much.
If I'm part of an event or with my nonprofit, if we're throwing events, we will definitely add your logo to our flyer or to the websites and have information to hand out at shows and events. So at least people know that it's out there. Because once people know it's out there, they're going to use it. And on the same token, people that have available space will definitely join. Yep, they just have to know. Knowledge is power.
Well, we're super flattered that you chose us to be part of one of your podcasts. So it's really awesome.
When I heard about Three Little Birds Bandcamp, I was like, I want to be a part of this. It's so awesome. And you guys already have a pretty good infrastructure and a good team. So I was like, what can I do? I was like, you know what? I'll just have them on the podcast. That's me.
But you've done more than that already. You know that.
Yeah,
I love it though.
You've done so much.
It's fun. Like you said, it's a community. And definitely a family, and I love it. It's my blood. It's what I do. So I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys. I'm doing a podcast. I'm not getting paid to do it. I love the music so much. It's what I want to do.
Awesome.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's what it takes to get it out.
Awesome.
100%. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Once again, my name's Scotty, the high-strung hippie, and I am reminding you to speak your mind before somebody else does it for you. So go ahead and do something nice for somebody today. Grab flowers for your partner, smoke out a stranger, slip the homeless man $1. Whatever you do it from the heart. Yeah. All good things start with the heart. One love, peace. I love you all. Have a good night.